So the purpose of Scran when it was set up 20 years ago was the advancement of education by enabling public access to Scottish cultural resources and related material, and its area of interest was material culture and human history. It's a charity and an online resource base with circa 500,000 images, movies and sounds from museums, galleries, archives and the media. It's a partnership project in that sense. It supports learning through discovery and packs with tools to build, edit, store, share and publish material. And as a result of all of that, it also has a commercial image sales and consultancy arm to it as well. So overall, the use is in this area with, we count page impressions because they can be recorded correctly by the database when you're serving them up. So overall in a year we serve just short of 10 million page impressions, and that's the rough split. Somebody asked about sectoral use earlier on, so that's the rough split on the Scran figures. The reason Scran knows these figures is that you get an account for Scran, so you have to log in. We actually know quite a lot about our people actually, unlike some of the other services. That's not a criticism of these services, it's just the way we're set up. But for instance, if you're downloading something on Scran, I know that you're downloading something on Scran. So for instance, a typical large secondary school will download about 8,000 items in a year, and I know that. Okay, and I can tell you which school it is. It's William Wood High School in Renfrew. It was set up originally under funding from the Millennium Commission. It had a second batch of funding from North Digital. Its sustainability model was to be an education service, to have a commercial wing. All of this was done by Deloitte Touche, and remember, this was when Scran was set up. This was the period where there was the .com boom, and they had some fantastic ideas about the revenue Scran would generate. Ha ha ha. And grant is an important one as well. And our approach over the years has been a variety of mixes on that model. The timeline, 1995 was the funding application. I've put some information down below so that you know what 95 was like. There was no Google in 95. There was no searches with thumbnails. It was dial-up modems. And when I say slow online systems, I mean you could go and make a cup of tea, a full meal, buy a suit down the town and come back up and an image had downloaded. Do you know what I mean? It was that sort of thing. It's, you know, like the Monty Python telling the story of when you were a boy, you could buy, you know, a suit for £1 and have a good night out and all of that sort of thing. But that was kind of like what it was like for IT Online in 95. We launched on St Andrew's Day in 96 and the first website became available in 97. To say that Scran was a bit of a shock to the psyche when it arrived is to understate it. The very fact that we showed thumbnails as the search results, I remember somebody phoning me up and I thought they were going to say something like, you know, why the hell did you do that? But the question was, how the hell do you get them to come up so quick? So it was in that area, you know, and it was all very novel and it was very exciting at the time. We very quickly started to look at developing an online tool set. We've got searches, obviously. We originally did a kind of bespoke search, but when Google came along, we held up our hands and went, no, nobody's going to learn our search system. You just have to do it the Google way. So we changed the search system. It's relevance ranking. It's done more or less the Google way. You can type in anything you like and it'll try and make sense of it. It does have fielded searches and algorithmic searches and things like that there. I have to tell you, nobody uses these sections. We've actually also monitored professionals like librarians using it, and basically they don't use that section either. This is hidden, you know, watching them. They just bash stuff in and do filters and things like that on it. We also started packaging the material up. It was an atomic project with a molecular top on it, so we started pulling things together in what we called pathfinders, which were kind of digests. So like Mary Queen of Scots records all pulled together to make a story about Mary Queen of Scots, and the search system finds that as well. We developed some user tools that albums create mashups and blogs. We started writing features. A couple of people came to us and said, can we get Scran with none of your data in it? I don't know if that was praise or an insult, but we provide Scran in a box as a tool set just to the public sector. We don't sell it commercially, and you get the Scran tools. The the cheapest way of doing it is to donate some data to Scran, and we'll create you a Scran in a box, which is in your own livery and everything like that, but actually searches your data sitting on Scran, and that works out pretty decent for folk. Some people don't want to do that. That's fine. We're not here to convince the world. We're here to sort of share that service that we actually run. This is what it looks like at the moment. It's had about 10 different licks of paint during the years that it's existed. This is the lifelong learning login. Because we know who you are, when you log in you get different screens. So a school screen, opening screen looks different. It's got schooly type things. Further education and HE screen is different as well, because it's got those sorts of things. They're all looking at the same data. Okay, the data's not different. It's the route into it that's slightly different. Search system is common and works as you might expect. And we push some stuff to the front semi-automatically, like features. These are based on dates, so these will be something to do with May at the moment, and these things are pushed to the front. One of the things that's useful is exposing your asset, you know, and people sometimes find it quite hard to encapsulate what you're about. So if you push some of the content to the front, it gives them a quick wee starting point. That's all that's about. This is a feature. As you can see, all of these items are pulled out of the database. They're all sitting as hot link to the database. So if you're reading that and you want to hear the audio clip, you just click it and you go to that record. So that's a way of building resource at a molecular level on top of the atomic record. Search results. I like searching for Dandy because we've got Dandy the donkey, and Dandy the donkey goes to the pub, which is fantastic. I think that's a Herald newspaper image. So we've got a mixture of heterogeneous range of stuff on there from museums and galleries, but we've also got stuff from commercial collections like STV and the Herald newspaper and the Scotsman. We also, just a quickie on the tools, we quickly discovered that people actually wanted to create stuff from the stuff quite quickly. You know, finding the stuff was okay, but actually creating something from it was quite useful. And it kind of surprised us, because we started with the view of, you know, we were going around people and saying, oh, well, it's quite easy, slap it into Word and everything like that. Then you discovered people have no idea how to put images in Word or do anything with it. And so we thought it's quite easy to slap some templates up here. And so if you're on an image and you want to make a worksheet out of it or something like that, you press the create button, you choose the template. These are the templates here, and it will output that. Like, that's a kind of quick worksheet for a school or for a tutorial or anything that you want to do. And it does it quite simply. You know, we're not trying to lay out, you know, War and Peace here or anything like that. You know, it asks you for a title, it asks you for a subtitle, it asks you for a block of text, and it asks you for some questions. You just bash these in. You can also paste them in from Word if you want, and you press the button and it manufactures it for you. It also saves that in the album for future use. So what we discover is teachers who use this very often use it periodically, so that, like, they might be doing Victorians in a secondary school or a primary school this year. They won't use that again until next year, and when they come back next year they want to do a quick wee edit on it, so we save it for them. And we're saving the parameters, we're not saving the document, so that they can go back. So you can start at the original document and go back through it and alter the bits, if you see what I mean. Now, if you're doing anything with databases, that's actually pretty trivial stuff, but, you know, this came about because librarians said they wanted to create a poster quickly. And it came back and we synthesised that. We listen to the users all the time, but we don't actually take every single thing they say and just develop that. We try to work out what that means. And we brought it back, we said there'll be other people who want other sorts of templates. So we went back, and one of the templates we went back was a calendar template. And we showed it back to our librarian group. They picked calendars, not the poster. And they went, that's exactly what we wanted. But they hadn't asked for that. But it meant we got the idea right. You know, it's sometimes useful to listen at a slight tangent to what your users tell you, because what they describe is what they already know. What you're there to do is to try and say, what is it we can produce it meets their current requirement, but it takes them a step further forward. And it's an important lesson in listening to users, I think, for the future. This is the album tool. It lets you output it in a different range of formats. One of them is slides. And again, this was an accident. We were in a primary school, and we said, I'll just bash it in and then put it into PowerPoint. You get a set of slides. What a surprise. Primary schools don't get PowerPoint bought for them. Who would have known? So it was easy enough for us to say, well, we'll create an album. You can change the text in it and the titles, and then you press one button and it generates a slideshow for you. It's been delivered down the internet. And there's only 2 views of it. We're not trying to do anything sophisticated. The 2 views are up there. You can have the image at the side and the text at the side, but you can have the image above and down there. You can jump to any item by popping that, or you can just progress back and forward. So, really quite simple. And we call these kind of just-in-time tools. I'm doing something, but I want to use it in a different way just now.